For weeks, the world has been fixated on the strange visitor named 3E Atlas, an interstellar body that defied every rule of celestial mechanics. It glowed with a deep emerald hue, pulsing in rhythm like a living thing, refusing to behave as any comet or asteroid ever had. But just as scientists began to grasp the scale of its mystery, the James Webb Space Telescope detected something even more unsettling. Atlas was no longer alone. A second object, 100 times larger, had entered the frame, moving on a precise trajectory that intersected perfectly with Atlas's path. Astronomers across the world froze. This was no random encounter. The precision was too perfect, too deliberate, as though this rendezvous had been planned across the fabric of space itself. The newcomer, quickly nicknamed Colossus, dwarfed Atlas in every way. Where Atlas shimmered and pulsed, Colossus was silent and immense, a shape so vast it devoured starlight. Its gravitational field disturbed asteroids as it passed, bending their paths like ripples in water. Webb's sensors struggled to define its outline. It did not glow, it absorbed. It seemed to drink in light itself, a void wrapped in shadow. At first, scientists clung to coincidence, two interstellar travelers crossing paths by chance. But orbital calculations shattered that hope. Colossus wasn't drifting, it was adjusting. Its velocity shifted subtly, its curve bending until it matched Atlas's orbit with mathematical precision. In the emptiness of space, where chance encounters are separated by billions of years, the odds of this happening randomly are virtually zero. The conclusion was impossible to ignore. This was not a coincidence. It was an appointment. As days passed, the behavior of both objects changed. Atlas's emerald pulses grew stronger, faster, almost as though it sensed the approach of its massive counterpart. Its light spread beyond its coma, forming thin, luminous filaments that extended toward Colossus, like strands reaching across the void. Then Colossus responded. Faint electromagnetic waves began to ripple from its shadowed surface, low and rhythmic, resonating with Atlas's higher frequencies. It was like a dialogue in light and sound. The two bodies, separated by millions of kilometers, had begun to synchronize. Space agencies denied it was communication, but the pattern was too deliberate to dismiss. Atlas was no longer acting alone. It was reacting to something, perhaps even answering it. The effects of this cosmic encounter soon reached Earth. The emerald glow that had once been a curiosity brightened until it painted night skies across half the planet. But woven within that glow was a darker rhythm, the shadow of Colossus. Amateur astronomers reported faint arcs cutting across constellations, dark streaks blotting stars from view. Satellites began registering gravitational anomalies, minor deviations in orbit that couldn't be explained by known forces. Radio operators across continents heard strange interference, low hums buried within static, pulsing in harmony with Atlas's light. The heavens no longer seemed random. The sky itself appeared to be changing, structured by a force that defied explanation. When Colossus drew close enough, the interaction entered a phase that defied physics. Instead of colliding, it slowed and held position relative to Atlas, motionless, as if tethered by an invisible thread. Webb's instruments recorded streams of exotic particles flowing between them, filaments of energy weaving back and forth in ordered pulses. To some, it looked like a transfer, a refueling, or perhaps a communication on a scale beyond comprehension. Others described it as symbiosis, Atlas feeding from the larger entity, or delivering something it had carried all along. The myths came alive again, the green serpent calling to its master, the emerald torch summoning the return of something immense. Atlas, it seemed, had never been the destination. It was the herald. The lattice of energy between the two objects grew increasingly complex. Webb's ultraviolet sensors revealed glowing filaments forming patterns that shifted, disassembled, and reformed, a structure that seemed to think. Some scientists likened it to a neural network, a cosmic nervous system stretching across millions of kilometers. Others saw an umbilical cord, a conduit of energy or data. Whatever it wasn't chaos. It was order. And the deeper question became unavoidable. If this was an exchange, what was being given, and what was being taken? Official silence followed. NASA, ESA, and other agencies ceased public commentary. Scheduled briefings vanished. Leaks hinted that Colossus emitted radiation bursts aligned precisely with Earth's orbit, scanning us, perhaps. Observatories reported corrupted data, disappearing files, and malfunctioning instruments. It no longer felt like a natural blackout but a deliberate one. Something, or someone, wanted to limit what humanity could see. Meanwhile, the effects radiated outward. Jupiter's moons registered magnetic fluctuations matching Atlas's pulse. The solar wind shifted, shaped not by the sun but by this interstellar duet. Even Voyager 1 and 2, beyond the edge of the heliosphere, detected faint, repeating signals, echoes of the same rhythm. The entire solar system seemed to vibrate with their frequency, as if reality itself were resonating to their tune. Then, unmistakable geometry appeared. The lattice between Atlas and Colossus began forming precise shapes, spirals, triangles, and grids that cycled in perfect mathematical ratios. Webb's algorithms identified constants embedded within those shapes, golden ratios, Fibonacci sequences, prime number progressions. These were not random. They were language written in light. To some, this was a cosmic conversation. To others, an activation sequence. Either way, it was design, deliberate, intelligent, and ancient. As Atlas dimmed, Colossus began to change. Once a black silhouette, it now shimmered with faint veins of light, arcs and grids like circuitry awakening. The structure was immense, too exact to be natural. Atlas's light folded into it, shrinking, as though being absorbed. The herald was fading, and its purpose complete. Colossus, once dormant, was awakening. Then, the distortions began. Space around Colossus rippled, not gravitational lensing, but something stranger. Light bent in broken patterns, as if spacetime itself was being rewritten. Instruments on probes near Saturn began to fail. Signals lagged and split. Some theorized that Colossus was generating a field, perhaps a form of propulsion unlike anything known. Others warned it was something far more complex, a manipulation of space itself. Soon, the pulse intensified, spreading across the solar system. Voyager's instruments captured synchronized emissions that mirrored mathematical constants. Prime numbers. Perfect ratios. These weren't natural frequencies, they were signatures of intelligence. Atlas had been the signal flare. Colossus was the transmitter. And now, they were broadcasting something, vast, deliberate, and perhaps not meant for us. Then came the silence. The emerald light faded. The rhythmic pulses stopped. For the first time since its discovery, the sky was still. Instruments showed nothing. The lattice dissolved. The heavens fell quiet. For a moment, humanity believed it was over, that the process, whatever it was, had ended. But deep within the static, faint data streams began to reappear. A whisper of rhythm. A single, low-frequency pulse repeating every 20 hours, too precise to be noise. Webb recorded a minute shift in Colossus's trajectory. It was moving again, ever so slightly, toward the outer system. Atlas was gone, its light extinguished. But Colossus remained, dark, deliberate, and awake. The event that began as a cosmic curiosity had transformed into something far greater. This was no collision, no chance encounter. It was a rendezvous, a meeting written across the stars, unfolding beyond the limits of our understanding. And now, somewhere in the silence, Colossus stirs once more.